and I'm now in drive and I'm not going anywhere, and it's come up on the dash gearbox fault.
Editing this part of the video still makes my blood run cold. It was supposed to be a very straightforward, here's everything that's wrong with my cheap XJR video, which found maybe a few little things I was unaware of, but on the whole concluded that it was a good car. Instead, Tom found lots of stuff that I didn't know about, including one potentially very big problem. Let's go back a couple of days and see how it all unfolded.
Last week I bought this rather tired XJR from a channel viewer for just £4,000, and today we're on our way to see Tom Lenthall so he can give Reggie a good once-over. Everybody, meet Tom. Tom, meet Reggie.
I was ready, we've got a name, have we? Oh, excellent.
Sure,
what is it with you YouTubers and naming your cars?
Everybody, I'm sure you know already, but you did a gearbox swap on one of these for a smaller YouTube channel, didn't you?
I did.
Someone called Alex or something like that?
Little short bloke called Alex. He had a straight 6 one we did rather than the V8, but yeah, we did do a manual swap for it, yeah. So,
I was going to say, he's got an inferior version of Reggie, does he?
I quite like, I'm a bit of a fan of the straight 6, but the V8 is definitely a more powerful, more modern unit. The only downside to the V8 is they never came with a manual gearbox, and if you want to do a manual swap on one of these, which I've done plenty of, it's a bit expensive compared to doing a straight 6. Straight 6 is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So.
I paid $4,200 for it. It's got 140,000 miles. It's got a big water leak. The ABS light has just come on. It's got a new MOT. Yeah. And it's almost a one-family car.
Yeah.
Before we take it out, initial impressions.
Well, I've had a quick look round it. I mean, you've got a few cosmetic issues and you've got a few bits of rust. You've definitely got water leaking into the boot because you can smell it. You know, I've got to reserve my judgment until I've had a proper look over it. Yeah. But on face value, I think you might have paid a little bit too much. Yeah, well, let me put it like this. I wouldn't have paid that much for it personally. Okay. You know, so I think the chap that sold it had a good day.
He's done all right.
He's done all right.
Good, because I do really like him. And I actually said that when I get it all back together and I sell it, if I make a profit, I'll give it to him. So, Paul, probably you're not going to be seeing any of that. But anyway, let's take it out and see how it goes, yeah?
It's a cold day out there, but that's aircon air.
That is a huge bonus, mate.
Yeah, cars of this age, quite often, most of the time, they don't, you know. Yeah. And I'm just, just traction off work, hazard lights, heated seats. Well,
they don't work, I've tried those.
Well, the button's illuminating, so you're halfway there. So really important on these XJs, last of line steel-bodied XJs and XK V8s, I can already hear
rear shocks
knocking from the suspension, because this will have electronic suspension on it. It'll have cats on it. Yeah, I'm going to say, unfortunately, you're almost certainly going to need dampers. So this will have the Mercedes gearbox in it. They're actually a pretty good box, a very strong box actually. Early ones did go wrong, but they tend to not be so much of a problem these days.
So this one was serviced about 3 years ago because the car started popping out of gear. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but they basically did a service, I've got a receipt, and essentially they changed the fluids, they resealed the sumps and all this stuff.
Doing an oil change on a gearbox like this, if it's popping out of gear, is not going to fix that problem. No. Apart from the clonk at the back, at this sort of like moderate speed, and it's
not
all right.
Feeling too terrible?
No, the gear change is nice and smooth. Light braking, pulling up to roundabouts, the brakes feel okay. I've not felt any judder through the pedal or the steering wheel or anything like that, so that says to me that the brakes are, in reasonable condition. So let's see what this thing does. Yeah, not bad. So, that was a bit of a harsh downshift. Yeah, I did notice then when we were on upshift, on full. Oh my word!
It's gone into neutral. What I was saying before.
Yeah, is this what happened to you?
It's never happened to me. It's what might have happened to them.
The gearbox is just broken.
You're kidding?
No,
What is it done then?
Well, no, I don't know. Let's go and find out. Hold on, let me get off the road. Okay, so what happened was we accelerated hard. Yeah. It it was a bit of a dodgy upshift, and then it was a very, very dodgy downshift.
Yeah.
And I'm now in drive, and I'm not going anywhere, and it's come up on the dash gearbox fault. Right, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to hope that it's just an electronic fault.
Okay,
right?
great.
So we're going to turn the car off,
Yeah.
and then we're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that when we restart it, that the gearbox goes back into drive.
Yeah, it feels like it. Oh, thank God for that.
So, that says to me that there is still a fault with this gearbox. So I don't think we'll push it as hard as that again.
Okay.
There were now two possibilities. The first is that this was an electrical issue affecting the gearbox. This is potentially resolvable. The second, though, is that it's a mechanical problem and the gearbox would need a complete rebuild. Unfortunately, Tom's gut feeling told him that the latter was most likely. First, though, we had to get back to the workshop, check out the rest of the car, and then read those error codes and decide what to do.
Okay, so looking under the bonnet, okay, look, it's done 140,000 miles, it's a well-used car. It needs a bit of TLC, doesn't it, really? All of the powder coating's still on here, or most of it. It'll probably clean up quite nice, you know, it's not that bad. So here's the things that I'm noticing straight away, which I'm not overly happy about. There's a lot of oil around here, and these are the there's rubber bellows in there, which goes from the supercharger to the intercooler.
Yeah.
And there's oil being blown past them. It's a build-up over a long period of time. It's probably not that serious. Just best to clean it off and, you know, that kind of thing. This car has clearly suffered with corrosion up in the top turrets. You can see that someone's sprayed it with primer. Oh, I'm going to describe this as MOT welding. It's because, you know, we're not doing an E-Type, you know, we're doing a vehicle of much lower value. You can see this pipe here has been replaced because they have what happens is this plastic material, over time the heat gets to it and then they tend to crack and perish away. So this one, I can see this one has been replaced, and so is this one here, by the look of it. Yeah. There's two of them there, they've both been replaced. So, and I can see there is a bit of oil leaking, been a little bit of oil leaking over a period of time. Yeah. But nothing like, oh my God, it's, you know, it's horrific. Brake fluid is a little bit dark, so it's probably a bit agey. Generally speaking, you know,
almost pristine.
Well, yeah. I think that's sort of. Right. Okay. So this side, as you quite rightly say, there's a lot more oil on this cam cover. However, I think the majority of that is where someone's been topping the engine oil up and made a mess.
I don't know who that could be.
Steering. Okay, well look, the power steering is levels correct. Yeah, it is where it should be. But I can see from the cap that the rubber, it's, you know, it's wet after the seal. Yeah. You can see it's glinting. So I would say that the O-ring in there's probably gone hard and it's not, you know, and it's, as the pressure's building up in the power steering system, it's then...
Good to know. So potentially an easy fix.
A very easy fix, yeah. Places where you really need to look and where the problems go from a bodywork point of view is all down here. Yeah, so they've already had to do a little bit of welding in there, and then they go on the tops of the arches and along the bottom here. Yeah.
This seems all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not. It's certainly not, but it's bearing up quite nicely. Good amount of brake pad, but the discs are definitely a bit corroded and they're seen, you know. But look, they're not juddering, so they're serviceable and they work. Just use them.
Good.
Push there like that. And play side to side, then it's a problem with the wheel bearing or the trunnion bearing underneath it, the hub bushes. All right, so that is perfectly normal.
So that's all good.
So I'm going to say that corner's good for the minute. That bit is good there, but if you look at this corner here, it's not so good.
Yeah, that was a little gift that I only noticed literally when I pulled in here today.
I like the way you said, oh, that's new. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it's new. I don't know, it's probably been there a while.
New to me.
New to you, Jack. So, okay, so we move on this corner. Again, we just have a quick look at the brake, and it's the same scenario. You've got a good amount of pad, and the discs are in similar condition.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of corrosion, you've also got some there.
I hadn't even spotted that.
Yeah, I know.
That is... yeah.
Okay, it's not as severe as that,
No,
but it's underneath the paint there. It's bubbling. It's difficult to see sometimes with the camera, but it's definitely there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's standard, as it should be.
Good.
That's just dirt. The sill looks pretty good, to be fair. You know, I'm not jumping out at me.
Yeah.
The edge of this wing.
Yeah, that one I did know about.
Well, believe it or not, this actually isn't as bad.
As it looks.
It looks worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, but that's not so difficult to do.
Okay.
As the one on the rear. You've also seemed to have a bit of a dent here.
Yeah.
But again, that's not that bad.
No.
You know, you take the wheel arch liner, there's a big plastic liner that goes up in here. You take the wheel arch liner out, and then you can gain access to that. And the repair work that you need to do on this, bodywork wise, isn't that bad, and it's not a huge amount of paint. It is a bit of paint, but it's not scary amount of paint.
Okay.
That feels pretty good. Yeah, that's all right. This wing's in much better shape than the near side, corrosion-wise, and it hasn't got any dents in it. Okay, it's all right. It's good. Front bumper running trays have a real habit of hitting speed bumps and God knows what else, and they get ripped off a lot. So that's really, you know, I was surprised to see that. So that's good. Which also says to me, particularly the way that we felt on the suspension and stuff like this, that someone has actually cared for this car.
Yeah, well...
It has had quite a bit of love. We're looking up at these bushes up in here.
Yeah.
And I can see that they have definitely been replaced.
Yeah.
And they're in good condition, although we're going to test them with a bar in a minute. Yeah, my ball joint gator and my track door end gator, they're not split. My steering rack bellows gators are good. Oh, look at that.
I know. But just before you saw that, you were starting to get quietly impressed, weren't you?
Yeah. So front suspension has definitely been
redone
at some point. I'm checking for lift in the ball joint.
Okay.
And there isn't any.
Yeah.
In exactly the same way. And there's no movement in it. Okay. So that's good.
Right.
We'll start on this side.
Yeah.
Down bushes, they're good. Okay, and I'll do the drop links, same with the drop links, and then I'm going to move on to the front anti-roll bar to make sure that there's no play in that. These bushes are supposed to move like that.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah, no, that's, you're supposed to have play in them.
Okay.
But we're checking for excessive play, which there isn't. There's no play like that. Okay. So that's what we want. And then you can come up here, I'll just check, if you see from here, get you. Yeah. I'm checking the top damper bush again. There is movement in it, but that's
what it's supposed to do.
Movement. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So yeah, front suspension is in really, really good condition.
Mate, really good.
Yeah, it's corroded. It's not cosmetically perfect, but it's mechanically very good.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that's a
that's a plus. Ow.
Mind your head. We're now looking at the back of the engine and the gearbox bell housing. Yeah. Okay. Now.
There's some like anti-corrosion fluid on there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, it's called the total loss anti-corrosion system. Yeah, so we've got a bit of oil here. All right, now it is coming out from this bell housing area. Now it looks to me, very much like it's coming from the gearbox side of things, and that bit is coming out of that plug. That's the electrical plug for the automatic transmission. Can you see that?
I'm just trying to make sure if I've got... Where is it there?
Yeah, if you come around this... Look at that.
That's right, let's put the light up there. And, yeah. Okay, it's this thing here, is it?
That's it, yeah, that's the electrical plug, yeah.
There's fabulous repair to the cat.
I was just coming to that. So, these cats do actually have a habit of rusting out, and they're a pain, okay? Yeah. And I've seen patch repairs like this. Okay. But you can get quite cheap cats online for these now.
Really?
Yeah, like, I don't know, 120 quid a side.
No.
I don't rate them, but it will get you through an MOT, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's not a killer anyway.
Not a killer, but if you want to buy a decent set of high flow cats, you know, like proper ones, you know, you're like 1,200 quid.
Okay.
Yeah, cats.
So just keep mending it.
As long as the cat's working and it's getting and it's going through the emissions, you're better off weld repairing it because it's far cheaper prospect. As we go down the car, look, it's had some patch repairs, welding wise, and again I'm going to call this MOT welding. There's a MOT welding up here. You can see where it's been done there. But the good news is you've not got it extensively. It's not doesn't seem to be massively growing. Okay. You know, so it's all right. Same on this side here. Patch in the wheel arch there and a patch here. But which you could probably do with a little bit of underseal.
Yeah, so I'm going to get it up at some point and go just clean it all up, do all that stuff and underseal it properly. But
look, if you can stop the rot, you know, it's not. I've seen an awful lot worse from a corrosion point of view. The back of the gearbox also looks like you've got a bit of a leak, but I actually think it's blowback.
Okay, from the other leak.
Yeah, or maybe
which is all from the electrical input. Yeah,
or maybe just a little bit around the back of the sump gasket, but nothing major. Okay. Just having a quick look at the prop shaft, and there's a big rubber donut up in there, jury coupling, and that's all good. We've got, as we move down the sill, you've had another bit of a repair in here.
Yeah, can see that.
And they go along here a lot. We've done a lot of that repair. That's an original exhaust system.
Wow.
You know, I can't really, although someone's changed flexes, the rest of it is actually
not too bad.
It looks original and it looks corroded, but it's not too bad. You want to get some paint on these. Yeah. These are what you call your A-frame hangers. Yeah. And they actually corrode through. Yeah. They go really rusty and they corrode through. And so
they're still solid, yes, so I can save them.
They're plenty savable. And the same with this big frame on the underneath of the car is what we call the A-frame, and they corrode in here and underneath here. And then this is the big rubber donut, what we call the A-frame bush. Now they split, and you can always tell when they're really bad because they collapse. And you can literally, that rubber bush there will be sat 100% of that, but there's a gap there.
On the metal, okay.
Yeah, so I know that bush is actually, it's not probably a bit warm, but it's not done. Okay, yeah, so I think you're definitely going to need to change the dampers. Yeah. They're
so
old.
It could be that bottom joint, but it's just not worth faffing around, is it? So it's better to just go for a set of new dampers. Let's see what the price is, but
My experience says you will end up, the noise that's coming from the rear of this car, even if you change the bush, you will still have a sizable knock.
Yeah. Okay.
Universal joints are good because we felt them. They're all right. We don't seem to have any oil leaks from the diff. It looks good.
Could that be because it hasn't got any oil in it?
No. It's totally dry.
It's totally dry,
There's been a tiny, small leak out of the pinion. Yeah. Which is, you know.
Okay, yeah. Which is building up a bit of crap.
Yeah, which is it. But I mean, that's happened over. Yeah. I can just about get a little bit of wet. Yeah. I wouldn't touch that. That's fine. Yeah. Inner wishbone bushes. Yeah. They can. Okay. They can go, and then it's actually a real job and a half to replace them. Because if it's these front ones that go. Yeah. I've got to take the whole axle assembly out. Okay. And that's a massive job. Yeah. Pleased to say these ones are in good nick. So yeah, they're all right, which is what you want to hear. Yeah. Corrosion-wise up here, we're good. These hangers quite often go wrong. Yeah. Well, go wrong, corrode. Yeah. And the bumper tends to fall down. Okay. So that's good on that side. And it's also pretty good on this side. But you can see why they go wrong, because look at all the dirt.
The dirt's been protecting it.
I'm not sure that's the case.
I'm going to hazard a guess. Yep. That you are pleasantly surprised at what you found under here anyway at the moment.
I definitely think this has had an owner that's looked after it and cared for it. And when things have gone wrong, they have repaired it within their budget. So some of the welding, I would say, could do, is not how I would personally do it. Yeah. But it's done the job and it's got an MOT. And it's kept the car on the road. I would say, mechanically speaking, from a running gear point of view and brakes and all that sort of stuff, cars in, it's very tip top. It's just the rear dampers. Yeah. Okay. So that's good.
That's good. Now, the thorny question of what could ruin all this camaraderie that we've got going, which is the fact that it went into neutral when we were driving. So
Yeah,
are you going to plug in Derek?
Naming my computer. And this is the diagnostic computer that we had for. It came out in I think it's 98. It actually runs Windows 98.
Brilliant.
If you've got to do in-depth diagnosis and you want to do data logging and things like that, as you drive down the road,
This is the ticket.
You can't get any better than this. We've now got the fault codes up. I'm going to open them up in a minute.
Okay.
So we've on this particular car, we've got anti-lock braking. We have 1 fault code.
Yeah.
Restraints control modules, none. Adaptive damping, none.
Yeah.
Climate control, none. Engine management, 1 fault code.
Yeah.
And transmission, we have 3. So what we'll do is we'll start from the top because I want to build the drama to get to the bottom, because the bottom transmission one is...
That's the one we need to know.
Well, that's going to be the difference between you driving home or being on the bus. So
Mate, don't say that. Don't say that.
We knew we had an ABS light on
Yeah.
and traction control, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that is going to relate directly to this code here.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that code. C1155. Left front wheel speed sensor. Okay, right, so that is either going to be the wheel speed sensor itself, which is the most likely explanation. There is a wiring loom from the sensor which rides up the suspension arm, and as it moves up and down on the suspension, they tend to break down and fail.
Okay.
I suspect that may well be the fault, because what actually happens when we were driving it down the road,
It went off.
the light went out. If a wheel speed sensor itself fails,
It just fails.
it tends to fail.
Okay.
Right, but the fact that you've got an intermittent fault and just that
Yeah.
one code says to me it's more likely to be the
So is
loom.
that passenger side or driver side?
Front left.
So that's passenger
near
side. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
okay. So I would, for me, what you want to do, this is how I would deal with it. I would pull the plug out of the sensor. I'd measure the resistance of the sensor, which I'm going to say I think should be about 1200 ohms on that from memory, maybe 1000.
Yeah.
Can't quite remember, but I haven't done one for a while. If I've got a good resistance through the actual sensor, then I would go for a loom. Okay, engine management.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that to be nothing. Yeah, P1111, which is a security, or it's a systems check code. That is in every single engine management ECU of this era.
Okay.
That is nothing.
Good,
Okay.
good.
Right. Okay, let's have a look. Right.
This is the gearbox stuff.
Right, so this is the gearbox stuff. We've got 3 codes. First code is P0730.
Yeah.
I think this one's going to be incorrect gear ratio. So it's not good.
No. What does that? Okay. Right.
Okay,
Well,
I'll come back to that in a
okay.
second. I want to see what the codes are first. Next one's P1727. N3 overspeed.
Yeah.
I think that's what's caused us to lose the drive. I'd need to look that code up and get a bit more information on it. Okay, 1632, CAN message implausibility. Right, that's a good code, because that is telling me that it's missing an electronic signal.
Okay.
And if it's missing an electronic signal, okay, then that could cause the gearbox to have a meltdown.
Okay.
So it could just be something as simple. You remember I said that electrical connector's leaking?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I've got oil going down the wrong wire, maybe I've got a problem there.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that I need to look this one up. I think N3 overspeed is, I think, something to do with torque converter or possibly solenoids. Right, incorrect gear ratio, what does that mean? That means that it measures the speed of the gearbox at the front and it measures the speed of the gearbox at the back. And it knows what speed it should be doing at the front and the back.
And it's not right.
It's not right. It's saying it is not right. Something is, and then therefore the clutches inside the gearbox must be slipping. So normally when I see incorrect gear ratio, that's it.
Yeah. Done.
It's a gearbox overhaul. All right. But you have also got a cut of a little electrical things going on there as well.
Okay.
But my gut feeling,
is that it's.
yeah. Let me clear the fault codes out. I think we'll have a much better chance of getting home. Yeah. But yeah, steady away. I don't actually think this is a bad starting point. I've seen them so much worse than this.
I do know that.
Yeah.
I know,
So
as I said, I know it's not a pig.
I think for the cosmetics you've got to deal with, the fact that mechanically running gear-wise, other than the gearbox issue, it's very, very good. I think that we've actually got a small list on this. So I don't think it's a terrible buy.
Okay.
As I said, I wouldn't pay as much as you
No,
did.
you
I
would have paid a bit less.
I would have paid a bit less, yeah.
Okay. So, the moral of the story then is, if you have a crap car, don't bring it to Tom because he will shatter your hopes and dreams. I'm joking, of course. The gearbox issue is really quite unwelcome, but it hasn't deterred me from wanting to fix up Reggie. I've actually become really quite fond of this car. Anyway, Tom has reset all the codes, giving me a better chance to make it all the way home. And then what we're going to do is, I'm going to get a code reader, and over the next couple of weeks, as the car is driving, I'm going to read the various codes, because what Tom said is that the first code that comes up, so if it's the mechanical one or the electric one, will give us an indication of whether it is a terminal problem or not. Although it is looking very likely that I'm going to have to change the gearbox. Thank you all so much for watching, and do keep an eye out for the next episode to see if I make it all the way home.